A draft science video. Oh, I think I'll do a response, sort of. Took some notes. Puro did a video, 20 minutes. Played 2 minutes of my video, part of which was a description about another subject, which is, and he didn't pay any attention to even the 2 minutes he played. The biggest point in that 2 minutes was the Colombo argument that Colombo doesn't go to trial with no evidence; he collects evidence. And the question could be asked: I mean, would you go to trial if somebody's life was on the line? Would you convict based on this evidence of gravitational waves, or even gravitational lensing, or the two-slit experiment? I can go into a lot of these subjects, the existence of black holes, even. And it's because nobody's life's on the line that this is pretty sloppy. And so the line in there was, this is pretty sloppy. And his response is, science is done very carefully. I can keep asking and I'm not going to get any response. But yeah, point me to a video on YouTube describing the two-slit experiment accurately. One that has some sort of popular viewage. So go ahead. Show me a documentary published on PBS or some other science channel where they accurately describe the two-slit experiment, where you think they've carefully described the experiment. And I'll show you how it's not careful. it's not, it's universally done uncarefully, unrespectful of the facts. And again, gravitational lensing. Show me the 3 big images, the best images of gravitational lensing, the best evidence you have. He did go into some crap about how the observatory he worked at, they did this and they did that. Well, did they publish any of this wonderful data? You're an internet person. It didn't occur to you that maybe you should publish it if they're not going to? So if you've got this great evidence of lensing when 2 galaxies collide, yeah, I have my doubts still remaining. It just, this is what you get. Like I said, they're not going to, he keeps making these accusations about my intentions, and that's the part where I'm calling it a lie. He has no knowledge of my intentions. He keeps saying that we're forcing science to be intuitive. That's not the argument. We're forcing it to have some sort of evidence, to be based on evidence, not superstition, not hearsay, not bullshit kind of evidence. You got to have real evidence. You can't just show up with your smudgy fingerprint data and some DNA that was left out in the sun and say, hey, I've got the evidence, I've got proof. It's just not good enough for the claims being made, and with the aggressiveness of the assertions. And then there is part of it. There is why should we indulge theories that we know we're making up? I mean, that have every smell of just being Bugs Bunny or Sasquatch or reptilian. They're just they're just made up. And so why should anybody with a serious logical mind say, oh yeah, that's the way to do serious thinking? Especially when they don't match anything like the simple answer, and they're not consistent with everything else we know about life in the universe. And that's where quantum theory comes in, right? I've said this before, no rational response to the point. But isn't it curious that the one place we can't see is the place where all the magic is happening? Everywhere else we've picked apart, we don't find any magic. And yet, the place we can't see, yes, that box is full of magic. Just logically, that a whistle goes off, a bell, some sort of thing, and because that bell goes off, we're guilty of saying we want science to be simple and it to be, rock, scissors, paper or something. No, we just want it to, you got to have some sort of reason to believe. He even used that argument. I'm supposed to give him a reason to believe. You're supposed to give me a reason to believe also. And what I'm saying is your reason is, we like it. That's all I see you saying. That's all I see as your intentions. Is you're invested in the woo-woo wagon. You like feeding unicorns. So that's my accusation regarding your intentions and character. Yeah. So yeah, but the real argument here is that these constant lies about what I have done. I mean, whether I didn't research it, I didn't look at the. I know I do videos. I'm showing the paper. I've done 2 videos at least playing the Feynman clip where Feynman says it's consistent, particle gravity, Mach gravity, with the inverse square rule, and yet Piro's claiming I don't have any evidence of that. I mean, I don't need evidence of it because the evidence is geometry. It doesn't even require any complex math. It's just geometry. It's freaking algebra. And yet he's going to make a claim like somehow this is a vital thing that needs to be established, that point particle force always matches the inverse square rule. It can't. Light bulbs match. Anything that does like a light bulb will match the inverse square rule. Anything that produces energy in the same way as a light bulb from one point evenly out at a circular circumference will always obey the inverse square rule. That's a law of math, it's a law of physics, it's a law of reality. I don't need to establish that as a fact. That's been already established as a fact. So what's this bullshit claiming I haven't done something? Claiming I have no math. What do you want me to do? You want me to really present 2 + 2 = 4 and say, yes, that works for me? I mean, what math do you want me to redo? The point is my theory is consistent with the existing math. And the math that isn't consistent with, I've pointed out, like gravitational lensing, because that was just an arbitrary decision on Einstein's part to say, I think photons are gravitational. You just picked one. You could pick yes or you pick no. You picked yes. And I think for no really rational reason. Only because he saw them as energetic, which means, and energy is what matter's made out of, therefore, ergo, it's going to do the same thing as the rest of the energetic possessors do. But he didn't realize the fundamental difference is that photons are quanta. They're the smallest thing in the universe. And that constituent isn't part of the game in the sense that only those orbiting things, the things with swirls and spins, do the gravity thing. So, and I've pointed out that dispute. So it's just this complete mischaracterization of not only the evidence I've provided, the logical argument, the rational argument. Darwin's argument was a reasoned argument. There's nothing wrong with reasoned arguments. He didn't need to provide math or genetic matrix, data. He didn't even provide much statistical data. I mean, hard statistics. Just generalities, observations, and pointed out how, when you put them all together, they point in a consistent direction. And that there's no evidence anywhere of some other direction being practical or feasible. That's my obligation. Now you're saying give you reason means I have to give you something else, which is I have to give you some sort of new math. I have to redo Newton for no good reason. Yeah, I don't know why I would have to do that. The relationships between velocity and mass and acceleration and density and all these things have been around for a long time, and most of those formulas are pretty good. And what we're really arguing isn't a formula, isn't a mathematical relationship, it's a conceptual model. Bent space, space-time, is not math, it's a conceptual model. It's a diagram of what's causing the math. That's what's in dispute. But he can't understand that, so he doesn't understand what's being disputed. And obviously, if you play 2 minutes of an hour-long video, yeah, you're not gonna. Sadly, you're not gonna get the best of the argument. And it was a very good argument. If he would have just done 5 minutes or 7 minutes, he could have gotten to a whole bunch of my arguments about gravitational waves, and I think they're very valid arguments. And just for anybody who's out there who is a math whore, I would be curious, just for my own edification, if there's some simple formula to do the derivation. What do you call those things with the funny the integral that'll provide you with the accumulated velocity from a point in space to a gravitational mass, and just negating its own gravitational effect. So who cares what it weighs? Just ignore its effect and just give me I would just be curious if I stopped Pluto and we just let it sit there and let it get pulled into the sun and just ignore the other planets, just the sun and Pluto. How long would it take Pluto to crash into the sun, and how fast would it be going when it got there? I'd just be curious. I mean, but, I just don't. I can't do integrals. I just haven't figured it out yet. Some of this math is all, what? I'm no good at memorizing things. You have to memorize all this theta and triangle-y thing, and I hate that shit. I never could. That's why I can't spell. I can't memorize anything. I can only understand things as elements in a position. I can't understand them as exact things. I can only understand them as relative things. So anyway, I know A is less than B, but I don't know how to use it in a sentence. Anyway, enough of that. So let's see if I can find some of the things to go through here. I'll play some of his video. But it was just so bad. Just never got to any of the good points. 10 minutes, that might be a good place, actually. So maybe we'll go with that. I think he says something stupid, 1140 or something. Alright, so again, one of the key points he made is science is done very carefully, and that's the whole argument being made here, is that there's evidence of a lot of not carefully. And especially things like the two-slit experiment. It's over 100 years old, and it's not being accurately described. The single slit certainly isn't being accurately described. Wave dynamics aren't being accurately described. And the mathematics being used is not exact or precise in any way, shape, or form. The two-slit math does not describe the actual two-slit pattern. And the whole idea of using the Huygens catch is just that, a catch. It's dark matter. It's a gimmick to make the math work, and clearly the math doesn't work in single slit real waves in water. There is no 47 bars. Anyway, I didn't prove they didn't have proof. So this is my obligation to prove they don't have proof. So even the whole just the convolutedness of some of these arguments, that somehow I have to prove that they don't have proof. I can't just assert, well, what's the substance of your proof and how inadequate is it? All I can argue is it's not really good evidence. It's not the kind of thing where I don't think I can prove you don't have enough proof. I can only assert that this doesn't seem like enough. He keeps using my name, Gary. What am I supposed to call you, Gregory? But whatever. Blatantly wrong. He uses these kind of words. I don't know, he went into some crap about logic, and like somehow you can't logically analyze love. And, well, of course you can. It's just it's emotions. You can logically understand them. Let's see. Things says something about batshit crazy and blah blah blah. And I don't know. I can't remember what it was. That somehow he likes playing around. I don't personally like batshit crazy, so that doesn't have any. It's not my game. You're playing that game. Play it with somebody else, okay? If you think somebody's batshit crazy, either demonstrate them to be batshit crazy with something called evidence, or just fuck off. You know. I don't something to math, but again, this obsession with math, I just don't. What can I say? Like I said, the only math I'm really concerned about is the simplest math, in the sense that conceptually I'm giving you a simple model, so the math is going to be simple, and things like the inverse square rule are fundamental, and then there'll be other proportional arguments. I mean, I've already started some of the math in the sense that I'm arguing that for magnetism and electricity there's 2 times the force and a zeroing of the force for some percentage of the polarization. Now, working out those exact percentages I haven't done yet, but the proportional argument is made, so there is some math there. But yeah, again, I could say, F equals ma kind of thing, but I don't even think that's a very good argument. Math, mass and acceleration are important in terms of defining. They don't say it all. I suppose it's important, but I guess what I'm saying is that the argument about exactly what force is and what you can and what terms you put it in, with quantities, is the part where that needs it needs a constant that makes it relevant to the size of quanta. So it needs a better constant. No, they are wrong. Yeah, so then he says, there's no chance they're wrong. And then he said, well, but they could be wrong. Yeah, I mean, those kind of arguments, it makes you insane. Because he contradicts himself in the very next sentence. There's no chance they're wrong about their intentions, he's saying now. Well, no one's arguing their intentions. What people are arguing is whether they're careful enough, and whether maybe some self-interest has broken the scientific method, in the sense that there wasn't this willingness to be scrutinized before you publish, that kind of thing. Alright, so what else do I need to get to? Something easily demonstrable or something. I don't know what he was arguing there, but so the point is that the argument being made is that he keeps lying about not only the substance of my argument, what I'm actually arguing. He constantly misparaphrases it, and then he constantly resorts to this lame argument that somehow my intention is invalid because I think physics doesn't have to be religion. We don't need Holy Ghost and Jehovah and gods that were never created by anything. And they're just inserting a bunch of astrology into physics. Okay. I think that might be enough, and then we'll read some of the comments on this video, I suppose. 13 of them.
Mathematics, I guess. And you don't have to follow them, but you can't call people trying to follow that shit liars just because you don't get it. It's free.
Okay, see, that's another argument. Where did I call them liars? Where did I say that the LIGO people are lying? Where's the quote you have of me doing that? Where did I say that even the people describing the 2-slit experiment, most of them were lying? I mean, there's a certain point where you have to argue Did Richard Feynman not know about single slit diffraction? I mean, if he was deliberately omitting something that's significant, that's sort of a lie, isn't it? Convenient to the argument he wanted to make. Somehow it would take away the mystery of it if he had to leave it open to people to say, well, what are you talking about, all this two-slit stuff? Why is it such a mystery if you have diffraction patterns with a single slit? Isn't that clearly the implications of acknowledging single slit diffraction, is that you diminish the magic of the two-slit diffraction? Yeah.
You can't do that, but it's ridiculous.
Well, again, it's not ridiculous to point out that you can't accurately describe the two-slit experiment and the pattern created without the context of acknowledging that the same pattern, except for some tiny nuances, is created with a single opening. You can't honestly describe the experiment omitting that truth. So if you don't know it, that's one thing. You're going to say scientists are ignorant of single slit diffraction? Okay. That makes them incompetent.
With this stuff. You know, and there should be some sort of apprehension about, so some sort of expectation that you have to actually prove these claims. That you just can't make them, that you have to demonstrate them.
See, this is, you know, you're looking insane to me, Gary, because...
I'm looking insane, right? Because, was that an insane comment to make? That the evidence for extraordinary claims should be pretty extraordinary? These are pretty extraordinary claims. This wave thing is an extraordinary leap in a theoretical diagram. It can only be interpreted that they've basically stated not only do black holes exist, not only can they crash in ways no gravity dynamics allows to take place, but beyond all that, they can convert matter into space-time. That's never been proposed before.
You're saying we're lying. You can't say...
Again, where am I saying you're lying? I'm saying you personally are lying about my character, about my effort, about my work, about what I have done to qualify myself, and about the argument I'm making. You're mischaracterizing my arguments, you're mischaracterizing my intentions, and you're mischaracterizing the character of the reasoning I've applied. But I have not called the other scientists liars in any kind of broad brush way. Specific circumstances, I've said, it kind of begs credibility to think Richard Feynman, when he's demonstrating the two-slit experiment, was unaware of the fact, when he did a big blob with a single slit, that single slits don't blob.
We haven't tried to prove our claim, that we don't even recognize that the scientists don't...
We don't even recognize, we haven't proven our claim. Well, again, if this is your standard, I'm just arguing, if this is your standard of proof, I'm saying I don't get you. Because this doesn't look like proof.
Recognize that they have to prove their claim and demonstrate it. You're saying, like, why is nobody asking for a demonstration? But they've given a demonstration.
Well, again, you say they've done something. Again, where have they done it? So you keep claiming they've done something I can't find. Like the millions of experiments you keep talking about, yet they can't be found.
In many of their data and the mathematical procedures that they're using, you think that is a lie.
Well, again, so what is this? Where is this statement coming from? I'm saying that if you're saying they've done this science carefully, and I'm saying if you do the science carefully, you're going to have a problem having two black holes that came from remote locations interact by getting caught in an orbit of any kind. Right there, you're going to be in really big trouble, because that's not physics. That doesn't obey Newton. It doesn't obey Einstein. It doesn't obey physics. So then you've got to come up with some explanation for how these two black holes were already in gravitational relationship with each other forever, or for a long time, and that something happened to instigate this event. But I'm just saying this is important to the story, right? Because the more extraordinarily rare you make this event in terms of, well, that only happens 1 in a million years, then doesn't that make you say, well, so you're saying you just saw something that only happens once in a million years? Conveniently, on the first day of a startup retest?
Right, so it becomes like a hoax.
I'm saying it becomes like a truther theory, okay? Yeah, this is like really thin evidence, okay? I mean, they have this squiggly line. It's like the person showing the videotape of the building falling down too slowly, not recognizing that, well, yeah, the interior of the building already fell down. The only thing falling down is the facade. That's why it's falling down slowly, because there's no matter. I mean, there's no mass.
So why are you wasting time in your video saying people...
So you're saying it's a waste of time to ask questions. It's a waste of time to say, how exactly do 3 solar masses get converted into some form of energy that's not in any way baryonic, and yet this energy moves the Earth a billion light years away. It moves the Earth a billion light years away, yet it goes right through everything else. It never moved anything. It never affected anything else. Anything close to it wasn't pushed, wasn't moved. It just barely didn't feel a thing. Holiday's arguing it upset his stomach. Holidays, I've had times when I just can't, I want to just kill him in little pieces. But he is ludicrously funny sometimes. I mean, he actually posted that comment all over the internet, that he felt it in his stomach. He had a stomach ache that day. He's detecting gravitational waves. Holiday thinks he can detect gravitational waves. I mean, if it's a joke, it's just not good enough to put everywhere.
People don't even have to do a demonstration. When they did have to do a demonstration, you're calling the demonstration a lie.
Again, so you've said the word lie 6 times. Like I said, they were liars. That's not the argument being made. They aggressively believe in this unicorn. They want to find a unicorn, so they found some scat, and it's like horsey, and they're saying, well, it's pretty close to a unicorn, right? It's good enough, right? Well, I'm just saying, I think it's a little short.
Now you're going to pretend it doesn't exist?
Pretend what doesn't exist? Again, this false premise that the evidence of this machine being able to do all the things they say it can do is out there, and it's perfectly available, and I'm being some kind of asshole denier because I'm denying the overt and plain, right in your face evidence that they've detected all kinds of things in the past, and proven that this thing can detect all kinds of noises coming from space. No.
You're in some psychological...
And then match this, again, the amount of information in this signal is tiny. It's 2 milliseconds in duration, and it's in this noisy, background. But anyway, and so filtered out, it has very little information in it. I mean, it's, if you were to make a vector graphic or a drawing, or if you just take it for its bits, you could barely draw an outline of Bugs Bunny with the information in this signal. And they're telling a whole big story about what the universe is doing from this piece, this squiggly frickin' line. And you don't find this at all something to say, wow, That's reaching, isn't it?
You can't pretend. I mean, Nummy was doing this last night too. It's like, well, they haven't demonstrated this. They should have measured something. Look, when they measured those gravity waves, they didn't measure gravity waves directly. They measured their device.
Well, again, that's irrelevant. We have the expectation that their ruler is capable of measuring inches. You know, it measures noises, things that make the Earth move. It's a giant seismograph focused to a certain range of signal. That's understandable. The mechanism isn't in doubt here. What's in doubt here is whether this mechanism, this ruler, is fine enough and exact enough where you can put it in any environment and it retains its integrity. That any kind of signal you're measuring, it'll do it right. That hasn't been demonstrated. And it certainly hasn't been demonstrated that this ruler's already been used to examine all the noises possible in the universe. That it certainly can't ever claim it's done. And how can they ever claim they know what everything sounds like and therefore they can exclude any other possibility? It's an extraordinary claim, and it should come with some evidence. I'm not even demanding extraordinary. I'm asking for some evidence that you have some expectation that there's no noise that could possibly fool you.
Their device wiggles and they measure the device. That's what they're always measuring. And then when you say, what's making the device wiggle?
I don't say any of that. So this is the part that's just so annoying, you patronizing bastard. These aren't quotes coming from me. I'm not saying any of that shit. So that's the lie. That's a lie. I've never said that. I don't have any argument with the technology. I have an argument with the fact that what they're saying this technology is capable of.
Sun bumps into it. A gravity wave. A neutron, stray neutron hits something. You know, all kinds of things might make it wiggle. Right? And he kept saying, well, why don't they demonstrate their science? Why don't they demonstrate? That's what they did for the 8 years when it failed.
Well, again, if they have done that, then why don't they put that data as a comparison to the data they've now collected and say, look, this is what we've gotten in the past as signals. And some of these were, oh yeah, that might be something, but it would only showed up at one detector. I mean, you know, and what are we don't even really, how can you statistically even calculate the odds of coincidences in terms of pattern matches? I mean, how do you even know what's possible? I mean, the patterns were slightly different. I mean, they were very close, but they were slightly different.
This would have been useless. No, it allowed them to improve their techniques, to get their quality up to where they didn't have to fail.
Right, okay, so you were very confident that they've done all that by the book and everything is perfectly fine and there's no doubt about this signal. Again, it's not just about this signal, whether they got this signal. It's what this signal represents is the argument. How do they know this is what it means?
But you guys just want to say they didn't even do that. They didn't.
Show me the simulation. I mean, where's their simulation? Show me before this event happened where they had a simulation of two black holes spinning half the speed of light and crashing into each other and converting solar masses into bent space. Show me the simulation they had of that, and then they created a synthetic, well, this is what it would probably look like. This is the chirp we're looking for. Show me how they did that beforehand, okay? And they didn't just construct it after the fact.
Do that. And when I point out they do it, then they're liars, and so they didn't really do it, so we're going to...
Well, again, liars. Okay, so that's what, 7 accusations of we called them liars. The argument being made is they're making an extraordinary claim. These are extraordinary claims. And again, the evidence is below ordinary. It's not extraordinary evidence. It's not incredible evidence. It's not like just beyond doubt evidence. It's weak evidence.
And they didn't do it, but illusions exist. If they pretended to do it, that counts as they're doing it, right? But you could say, yeah, but they just pretended. Court of, gotcha, you got...
Well, again, there is some pretense in this. I mean, look, first they come out and they say, we've done it, and then they say, this isn't going to be a Hollywood production, and that's all they showed us was Hollywood productions, in terms of video simulations. They say they have, again, show me show me their simulation data that existed before this event that they matched this event to. How did they match this event, and what did they match it to?
Guys are hoaxers. You're lying. But you just say it didn't exist, then you don't have to go in and prove that. Of course.
So again, he keeps saying the word liar, and then he wonders why I'm saying you're a liar. It's a lie to say I called them liars. That's lying.
That's not what happened. Thorn
and yeah, that's not what happened. It's exactly accurate. That is not the argument being made. It's not anything to do with this subject. You're just putting words in people's mouths, straw manning the fuck out of them, and it's just so grossly unfair, you cunt.
Behind this have been super careful. The chances...
Super careful. He knows that, right? I mean, he went there. He's seen what they have on their computers. There's no porn on their computers. They're not fucking around. They're all, really at this all the time. I'm just saying, I'm not sure they are. I'm not sure they're going to have an explanation for how these two black holes got into this scenario and how they have accounted for the energy problem they have in the fact that they've moved 60 solar masses at half the speed of light. That's a hell of a lot of energy to get rid of. Dumping two or three solar masses into space-time isn't going to do it. It's not going to fix your energy problem. You got to dump 30 solar masses. Fact. Alright, I'll play some of this, read some of this shit. Here's the Nicky Tech guy asking Piro for something. Test run. I didn't make that argument. Ignored. Tech statistics provides means of measuring the likelihood of coincidental matches. That's how it works. Yeah, I'm just saying that how garbage in, garbage out. How do you even compile those statistics? What presumptions have to go into the compilation of statistics for something like that? I don't think it's possible to. I think that's like the Drake equation or something. I mean, that's just an equation doomed to fail. But I'm guessing he'll find your response relies on unbelievable interpretations of math. Well, I don't know what that is. Tech, our inability to predict the weather 100%, well, that's not terribly interesting. Let's see, that's not known or demonstrated, since chemistry involves quantum mechanics. See, this Piro's always going back to this stupid, involves quantum mechanics. Everything involves quantum mechanics. Cheese sandwiches are quantum mechanics. The weather involves chaos theory. Again, says you. There's no chaos. So, I mean, who's the one trying to defend a theory of existence, and doing that with a passion, rather than serious. Yeah. You mostly define fluid dynamics to predict the weather. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, there's just a lot of thermodynamics, but again, to argue that there's some there's some chaos in reality. It's just too many moving parts. It's the only problem with predicting the weather. It's too many moving parts. You have the patience of a saint, Piro. Right, he played, so cue ball B, that means the cue ball is used as a butt plug. Where's his patience? He played 2 minutes of a video. and then just made a lot of false accusations about what the person had said. Dana Cat loves me, some kind of child molester. I really haven't paid a bit of attention to Gary's antics for more than 2 years now. Oh, who cares? Just see the Tiles hour-long videos and know that, yeah, well, like I said, obviously I don't have to worry about you either. Side question, why is Copenhagen interpretation quantum pervert over Boyum's interpretation? Well, they're both the same interpretation. It's just that one of them, it's got something to do with the feeler waves or something. What the hell's the difference? It's not enough of a difference. They're both wacky. Let's see. It's easier to fool people than to convince people that they have been fooled. Mark Twain. Yeah. The recent detection of gravitational waves in a laser interferometer gravity wave observation came from two black holes, each 30 times the mass of the sun, merging into one. Yeah, again, moving half the speed of light. Gravitational waves span a wide range of frequencies that require different technologies to detect. Well, that's not the point. Who cares? We're really not talking about galaxies moving really slowly and then, banging into it, and detecting the gravity from those events. But that you could almost argue that so they decided to look for black hole collisions? Something that not even known to exist? Well, maybe they should be looking for the gravity waves that would come off of two galaxies colliding. Plus, Gary wasn't a fucking machinist because by hand I was able to hold 10,000ths of an inch giving the right machine. They're talking about a human hair over the distance of light years, idiot. That's their claim, that if I go put a hair on a distant star in our galaxy, a star all the way across the galaxy, I turn the star off, so the hair doesn't burn, and I put a little hair on that star. They're saying they'll be able to see the hair versus the surface. That's how fine a detection they can make. And I'm saying that just sounds like crap. Fucking crap. After fucking crap. You must polish the last tenths of in on the lathe. Make sure the cool work right there. Yeah, right. Fuck you. Yeah, Gary loves you. He just can't quit you. LOL. Yeah, well, Piro's the one bringing me up. Frankly, yeah, if he can't make a rational argument, I wish he'd just fuck off. I'll be happy to ignore him for the rest of my existence. But if he's going to keep making little shots, take his little shitty lying shots, I'm going to respond. I'm going to defend myself against his lies and his mischaracterizations of what I have done and what I've accomplished. He's a fucking jackass, and I'm not going to let him get away with being a slandering jackass. So anyway, that's enough. So I have fixed the electricity thing. Yeah, I did think of I thought of this reason like a year ago, and it just occurred to me, oh, that's right, that's why DC current doesn't work. I in terms of a transformer. So I have the answer for that one, so I'll make that video later. So anyway, till the next time and such, and so forth and whatnot. I think that's all I need to do. I mean, there was some snarky comment in my sort of, no point in wasting a comment video just to do this one asshole. This stupid malacosis. The irony, oh my, here you are being skeptical over a single experiment using hundreds of millions of dollars of some of the most sensitive equipment operated by the world's most accomplished physicists. You say they're the most accomplished. Actually, I don't think they are. The one guy just does like consulting work on, movies. The other guy makes interferometers. Oh, well, gee, I guess that means he's the most accomplished physicist in the universe. Yet you can't fathom we are idiot cunts. I don't know what the other chick has done. No Nobel Prizes I know of. Yet you can't fathom we are idiot cunts, how we could be skeptical over a theory of everything which apparently solves the largest mystery in physics. Yeah, Well, I'm just saying you can be skeptical if you can make an argument. I'm just saying counter-argue it with some reason why it can't work, okay? So challenge me by pointing out some deficit, like say it's too complicated, it has too many moving parts. Like I said, the rope theory guy, you could just say, hey, ropes are more complicated than photons, for fuck's sake. You're saying every photon has a zillion ropes attached to it, to every single other thing in the universe? I mean, on its face, that doesn't sound like you've simplified anything, fucker. Anyway, but you're not doing that. You're not giving me any kind of argument. You're just naysaying. You're just saying, I don't even want to bother thinking about it. I'm just going to say, I don't like you, so fuck you. That's all you're doing, jackass. Refutes Einstein's general relativity. Doesn't refute the mathematical relationship, okay, between velocity and degradation of material metabolism. Certainly doesn't do that. And it does not deny the existence of gravity. It just explains gravity as a force not unlike light bulbs in reverse. And a 100 years of observational evidence. Well, again, how have I denied observational evidence? How have I refuted observational evidence? Show me one example of the hundreds of years of observational evidence I have in some way refuted or challenged. I don't have any problem with the observed evidence, jackass. What observations am I saying didn't take place? I'm even saying the two-slit experiment is creating a pattern. I'm just saying there's no Copenhagen, there's no multiverses. Fuck you, that's an observed fact. The multiverse is an observed fact of the experiment with zero experimental evidence to support it. Well, what supports it is the fact that it unifies all force, which is a hell of a bonus, plus time dilation. And the experimental evidence will be verified in the sense that, eventually some experiments will be able to be engineered. I think they'll demonstrate certain things like you can't bend light with gravity and other things. But I'm just saying all the experimental evidence supports my theory, shithead. My theory is not in conflict with evidence. So show me a piece of evidence that my theory can't deal with. Just some drawings and YouTube videos. Well, I mean, some drawings is what Newton did. It's what even the guy who did all the equations for the field lines for electricity. What's his name? Lots of drawings, and I think they would have done YouTube videos. I think those kind of scientists would love doing videos, amongst hundreds of other theories of everything out there. Well, I guess I've already pointed out that yes, that is a liability. There are a lot of them out there, and but again, I just ask you, if you think my theory is a Sasquatch, or you think it's a truther theory, or you think it's crackpot, then you should be able to point out the feature of the theory that makes it crackpot. Where's the Sasquatch in what I'm arguing? I mean, seriously. Yeah, I'm asking you seriously. All you have to do is say, that looks like a UFO. That part there looks like a UFO. That part there looks like a reptilian. And that part looks like Bugs Bunny. That's all you have to do. If you had a penis, if you had any kind of integrity, instead of this slanderous tripe, you would be fucking posting an actual argument. And you're not doing that. Because you're a lousy fucking religious kook cunt. And then your icon demonstrates that. So, fuck you. Until dead and such. Anyway, now the video is complete. So, till next time and such. And so forth and whatnot.